Hey everybody, this is John from DroidDog.com, and this is the first and possibly only questions and requests video on the myTouch 3G slide. I haven't received nearly as many questions and requests on this phone as I have on others, and I don't know if it's because there's not that much interest or because you guys didn't know I was taking questions and requests. To send me yours, text me at 503-MOB-BARK. And as usual, that's for text messages only. Nobody's going to be checking voicemails or answering the phones. You can also @reply me on Twitter. That's phonedog_John. Alright, let's get to it. Breon and a couple of other people wanted to see me run multi-touch visible test here, which will show what kind of delay you get from multi-touch on the screen, and then also apparently if it will notice that the axis should flip when my fingers cross paths, if I understand the question correctly. Okay, so there's that problem that you get where the sensors start tracking the opposite finger that it should be. Now if we just look at the delay, now the axis issue looks pretty bad, really, although it only happens sometimes. Alright, next question, and I'm going to read this one word for word here. I've heard lots of folks saying how impressed they are with the speed of the myTouch slide. I'd love to see it compared to similar mid-range phones, as well as higher-end devices like Nexus One, Droid, and maybe even Incredible. If it is as fast as some are claiming, that could put to rest the complaints over its 600 megahertz processor. Well, I don't have any, let alone all of those phones on hand here to do comparisons for you, but I can show you some benchmark results, and indeed this does have a 600 megahertz CPU. Now this is a program called Quadrant Standard, which has become increasingly popular for comparing phones. Let's do the full benchmark. So we'll see the progress on this main screen here. It's going to run through some rendering some 3D graphics, and then we'll see this phone, how it registers on a list compared with other devices. And I've already done this before, and I've posted the screenshot of it at DroidDog, but I want to do a live demonstration of it here. And you'll notice that there's a distinction between post 2.2 and before 2.2. For instance, the Nexus One with 2.2 or greater is way up at the top of the list, while Nexus One with less than 2.2 is several slots down. So when Froyo is made available for this phone, we're going to see a dramatic increase in speed because of the optimizations and JIT and a lot of coder stuff that I don't understand. But my personal experience with the phone is that it's been pretty snappy. I really haven't had speed issues. That hasn't been, I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't noticed anything at any point, any kind of lagging or anything, but definitely not a concern or something that's noticeable on a regular basis. It's a really snappy phone. Benchmark results and device information need to be sent to a web service. Yes, I want to do that, compare with everybody else's results. So, where do we sit here? One notch above the Moto Droid, two above the original myTouch, the Magic there. Xperia X10 is the next one up. I'm just reading these off in case it's difficult to see. Desire, Incredible, Nexus One before 2.2, Galaxy S before 2.2, Moto Shallow before 2.2, and Nexus One after 2.2. So clearly, 2.2 makes a dramatic difference in the performance of the phone. So if the myTouch 3G slide sees a comparable boost when it gets 2.2, then maybe it would be somewhere around here, close to the shadow before 2.2. you know, it's difficult to guess, but I'm sure Froyo is going to make this phone blaze. All right, next question. I'm going to read this one word for word as well. Hey, I have AT&T, but I really like the HTC myTouch 3G slide. Do you know if it can be unlocked? And also, would you recommend it for a 14-year-old who has already had a few smartphones? Or are there any other Androids that you might recommend that work on AT&T? Well, as far as what AT&T is selling direct at this point, you know, don't even bother for Android because they're way behind the game. Will other phones work on AT&T? And I'm going to answer this in the same response as I do for can this phone be unlocked. Yes, you could actually run this on AT&T after buying it from T-Mobile. You can get the unlock code from T-Mobile, or you can buy them online. But the problem is you're not going to get the 3G connection speeds. It doesn't have the appropriate frequency band support. But you can order an unlocked device that's destined for Rogers Wireless in Canada, because they use the same 3G bands as AT&T does in the States. So unless you want to be stuck on edge, I would say your best bet, and that's the easy way to know that a phone is going to work on AT&T 3G, is you get a 3G phone for Rogers Wireless in Canada. Order it unlocked. You don't have to deal with the additional fees and putting in the codes and all that. It's really not that much more expensive anyway. A lot of the time they're the same price as one that's locked to a network. You just don't get them subsidized. And if you wanted to switch networks, you wouldn't be signing a new contract with the T-Mobile just to get the device anyway. So my advice, even though there are multiple ways to do this, order from a phone that's designed to work on Rogers Wireless 3G, and you can do that with the myTouch 3G, and take it to AT&T, just put your SIM in there and you're good to go. Oh, and would I recommend it for a 14-year-old who has had a few smartphones? I don't know what smartphones you've had, but yes, personally, I'm not a huge fan of this keyboard, but as I'll cover later, somebody had a question about keyboards. I'm not sure if I'll get to it in this video. There are plenty of keyboard options on this phone. You can use Swipe, which I just demonstrated. You can use the default HTC Sense keyboard, which is amazing. So, yeah, I mean, if you like messaging and it's a quick phone, yeah, it's great. Next question, and I get this with every Sense device, and surprisingly, the answer is not always the same. Can you turn Sense off and use the default Android Home? And if there is a way to do that, I'm not aware of it. I don't see the default Android Home installed here, and I've had people, specifically with the Incredible, say, well, you're doing it wrong. Just to show you that I'm following the procedures as people have told me you can do to turn off Sense, I'll do it for you here. Go to Settings, Applications, Manage Applications. Go to HTC Sense, clear the cache, which I've already done, force stop it, and if you hit home, it just restarts Sense. It does not go to the default Android Home. Of course, you can install Home Alternatives. And I have run into this problem on this phone a couple times where you go to download an app and it hangs like this. You reboot the phone and often the app is already installed. It's just not reflecting it here or in your applications menu. So I might need to do a reboot. Alright, so after a reboot it did install. You can see desktop and HTC Sense, no default home, although there are plenty of launchers in the market that are similar to the default Android Home. So my answer is no. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that's not right. That's never been the case. Lately, actually, from what I've seen, it is the case. Am I missing something? Let me know.